Hi folks, and welcome back to Meaningful Money. Okay, I'm here just up and away from the prom in Penzance. You can see the traffic going along the prom behind me, and just over my shoulder here is the gates of Jubilee Pool, which is a Victorian Lido, is it? Never quite sure. Anyway, it's an outdoor pool which is fed by the sea. All right, so it's freezing cold. Never been in there. A bit of an impromptu location this, because I've had to redo this video because I made an error in my first recording. Always a bit annoying when you watch it back and you think, there's no way I can edit that to make it fit. So here we are reshooting. Okay, so we're going to talk about contracts for difference. Okay, now before we get into that, as ever, I must thank my good friends down here, 7 Investment Management, who sponsor Meaningful Money and help me to keep going. So thank you very much to them. Contracts for difference, as the name suggests, is a contract between two parties, and it's a contract to exchange the difference in the price of an asset. So there's two parties, a buyer and a seller, and for the purposes of this video I'm always going to be the buyer because it makes it easier. Okay, so if I am a party to this contract, there's a seller somewhere and there's a broker in between, sort of setting up the contract between me and the seller. If I'm the buyer and the asset that I'm going to sort of bet on the movement in value of starts at £10, then it goes up to £15. We close the deal and the seller pays me the difference, £5. So I've made £5 on that deal, pretty good. If, on the other hand, the asset goes down from £10 to £5, I have to pay the seller the difference. So who pays who depends on the direction that the asset price goes. Okay, but again, for the purposes of this, I'm always the buyer, so I want the value to go up. Okay, so far so straightforward. But the thing about contracts for difference is that they are more often than not leveraged, and that simply means is that I can borrow money to scale up the deal. Right, here's how it works. Okay, I'm going to scooch over here so I can get a graphic in. So let's say it's this same asset and it's currently they're worth £10 each, which is extremely convenient. I've got £10 in my pocket that I want to do this deal with, but that doesn't buy, it just buys me 1 unit. Perhaps I want to scale that up. So let's say I borrow 20 times my original margin. That's the name for my £10 that I start with. So I'm going to borrow 20 times that. So instead of £10 to do this deal now, I've got £200. Right, so I've bought effectively, or I'm securing this deal on 20 lots, 20 units at £10 each. So let's say the price goes up to £15 each. Well, because I bought 20 of them and they've gone up by £5 each, I've made £100 in profit. Now at this point I decide I'm going to take that profit and I close off the deal. And so the seller, who we don't know, he's off somewhere in the background, he pays me £100. Okay, I pay my leverage back, so I'm now sitting on £110 for my original £10 margin. I think you'll find that's 1,000% return. Okay, now before you all say that sounds fantastic, where can I get them? Okay, there is a flip side because the leverage works in 2 directions. Okay, so same example. I have my original £10 margin and I borrow my extra £190, so I've got £200 to play with. And so I've got 20 units at £10 each, effectively at the start. But unfortunately, they go from £10 each to £5 each. Now at this point, the seller closes the deal because he's quids in. And I now have to pay him the difference. So I've now got to pay him £100 effectively. So I started with £10, I've had to pay him £100. My loss now is £90. So I've paid back my leverage, okay? So I'm sitting on a £90 loss. So just think that through. I started with a tenner and now I've lost £90. Normally, when you buy an investment, the extent of your losses are the amount you put in. So if you buy £100 worth of shares in a company and that company goes bust, you've lost your £100. But I started with £10 and I've lost 90. I've lost 9 times the amount I started with. can you see how the leverage massively increases your returns if you get it right, and massively increases the losses if you get it wrong? So that's how leverage works, okay, and how contracts for difference works. A couple of things that are important for you to know. You never own the asset that you're trading under a contracts for difference. It is merely a bet on the movement in price. There is a broker somewhere who brokers this deal between you, the buyer, and somebody else, the seller, okay? I think, and I'm hoping, that the price is going to go up. The seller thinks and hopes that the price is going to go down. We neither of us know, but we win dependent on the price movement, or lose, all right? So either myself, the buyer, or the seller can close out at any time. So if I'm sitting on a profit, I can close the deal at any time. They're indefinite. You can leave them go as long as you've got enough margin, because the broker takes a fee on this. So your margin sits in an account with the broker while the deal is open, and if it rolls over overnight, there'll be a charge every night, an interest charge. And so you have to leave enough margin in your account to keep this deal open. But remember, either party can close it at either time. Okay. So a couple of things else to say. Well, I think perhaps I won't add too much other detail. The leveraging thing, I sort of I inflated it just to make the point, really. But you can borrow for sort of blue chip shares. You can borrow 20 times, really, anything up to 20 times, really, leverage, because these are good shares. You can just buy an index, a little bit like an index tracker. You can sort of bet on the movement of the FTSE 100 index, and in those cases you can leverage 100 times. So I mean, the movements and the gains and losses can be enormous on this. So it really is not for the faint-hearted. Okay, I cover it here because I've been asked to. But contracts for difference is not something I would go anywhere near. But that's me. That's a personal thing. If you are prepared to take losses, even more than you put in, then be my guest. A couple of websites that you might find useful. One is contracts-for-difference.com, which is a pretty good sort of what's it all about explanation. Not as good as Meaningful Money, of course, but quite useful nonetheless. And the other one is something called CMC Markets, and I can't remember the website address. I'll put it in a graphic here anyway. But that enables you to open a dummy account, which I've been doing in preparation for this video, and you can see what the gains and losses can be without you actually risking any money. So have a go at that and have some fun with it. So that's contracts for difference. Really is the sharp end, the most sort of difficult to get your head round of the investing world. So I hope it's useful. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back in my field in St Buryan next time, because I filmed that the other day and we're talking about foreign exchange. So for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.